Yo, you are now tuning into episode 30 of Jazz and Keys. As we promised all week that we will be bringing, in the 4 a.m. sessions, I said we bring you an episode, and here we are with the one and only Jazowski. Man, how you been, man? Tell the people how you been.
Man, been lovely, man. How about you?
Oh man, I've been well, man. I've been blessed. I'm grateful. I'm thankful. All of the above, brother. Like I've talked to Brian Greenspan. February is a magic month. You know what I'm saying? And I'm feeling real peppery.
Yeah, for real. Peppery and buttery. Peppery and buttery. Matter of fact, I've been watching the your 4 a.m. Videos. And man, I really like them, man. Especially the last one. I think it was like inspiration versus
Discipline versus inspired.
yeah, that was a good one, man.
That was basically from the title was inspired by the viewer who had a question for me, and he answered another question, but I'm not gonna. I do 4 a.m. sessions 4 times a week, and that's Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. You already know, and I definitely, as things are what they are right now, I'm able to do that. But yeah, I want to chime in on that, man, because I love us to be able. I love the fact that we're able to have like people from all over leaving comments and stuff like that. That's what we want. You know what I mean? But yeah, man. Thank you for that. Thank you for tuning in. And it was more so because, as you know, had to get this connection right. You know what I mean? And
Right. But it's something you said about like literally working through grief while working through grief. You know what I mean? And I thought that was very insightful what you said, because yeah, it's really easy to use work as a distraction uh, from grief, but you also literally have to emotionally work through your grief.
you do.
You never really get over it. Um, but time, allows you to um, accept it better. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I mean, it's funny because what's not funny actually, but Pusha T talked about how he lost his peoples, and as an interview as you've seen, Charlamagne was like, "Well, how do you deal with grief?" He said because well, you can't just be just doing interviews, getting on the road. He said, you gotta deal with that, man. And then he said, you ever see somebody? And Pusha T was like, nah. And he was like, man, I think you should see somebody, man. He said, for real? He was like, yeah, man. He said, because when you keep it all bottled in, he said it's just there, and you can probably keep it, intact, but it might be a level 10 day. Remember we used to say level 10 days, like how like I'm like, what day kind of day you having, Jazz? You know what I mean? Or if it was like a moment where something had passed, you'd be like, yo, he said, I'm cool, but you was like, if it's level 10 day, man, man would have been out of here. You know what I mean?
Dog, I forgot all about the level 10 days. The level 10 days. Yo, that's crazy. We used to actually have days where we just wasn't letting shit fly.
Oh, you like, yo, level 10 day. Whoa. You be like, whoa. Like, whoa.
Right. Whoa, whoa.
So we
Oh
had
man. That and the Jim Jones.
the Jim Jones. What was the Jim Jones, man?
The Jim Jones weed. Remember we was calling that weed Jim Jones?
Yeah, I forgot about the Jim Jones weed. That Jim Jones weed, ladies and gentlemen, it had us doing some crazy mess that we would do. That West Coast greenery on the greenery, man, it's a different type of vibe, y'all. Like,
Yeah.
oh, Jim Jones green. Oh my gosh, dog. Yeah, I'm glad we
Yo,
them.
if we had a level 10 day with the Jim Jones, yo, you liable to get just your kufi slapped off.
Remember we was in the back of the car when, like I said in a past episode, where one of the gang members had shot at the Jack in the Box drive-through menu, and we was like, all right, we cool, but we kind of like calmly went to the car, and the guy from Texas was was he was infatuated with what was going on. And all I remember was, and this was the Jim Jones brain, smack him in the back of his head while I was in the back, like, yo, get out of here, man. Come on, man. Like, and I think about doing that today. It's like, yo, I barely even knew yo, but I'm putting my hands on him, telling him to come on, yo, get out of here, yo, go. And it was like on that, it wasn't on that disrespectful tip, but it was more so on a brotherly tip because we all of us, when you introduce me to your friends, you know, uh, that that specific person, he felt like it was all cool, but other fam had took it to the extreme. Uh, it was out now he had. I want to say he had a little bit. He needed the level 10 day to go there. He just would do that. Some people
Yeah,
just
our level 10 days was like a level 3 day for him.
insane, man. But switching gears a bit, man. Today was wild, man. A wild day in Baltimore, man. And it was one of those because uh, I I had to do a few things in order to set up some of these projects. I wasn't going to reveal as much, on some of these on our show, but we don't got that much view counts, so I feel like it's okay for me to share some things because by the time people probably view these things, because ladies and gentlemen, for those who tap in, who are our loyal listeners and viewers, we're not interested in immediately having like a viral hit video. We're more interested for the community. And over time, as people who I look at, who I've been watching for, they have slowly but surely it takes time to grow. So sometimes I kind of refrain from sharing information, but I will start like really while we're in this time frame to share some stuff that I can share. But I say all of to say that I do have a network that reached out to me, ABC, to do some pieces for Grownish. So I linked up with my friend, and because I need to create some original art, and we decided to go to Chipotle. And Chipotle, before I continue the story, hasn't Chipotle fell off jazz since we've known it to be Chipotle?
Bro,
Well,
I can't.
you've never been a big fan of Chipotle,
No,
but
no, that's not true. That's not true. I remember when when I first when I first came to Phoenix, hooking up with these Mexican cats, and they used to go to Chipotle and In-N-Out Burger.
and I do remember when I came to Phoenix, before you continue, you was like, yo, the first thing I gotta take you to is Chipotle. And that's before Chipotle. Chipotle was only, I believe, on the West Coast in some spots. It wasn't over the East Coast yet at all.
Yeah, it didn't blow up yet. It
Didn't.
didn't blow up yet. But yeah, it's really good. It was really good. I honestly can't speak to if it has fallen off just because I don't eat it like that, like like we used to. Um, but I mean, I haven't seen any stores close down.
But you know what? It cannot, and forgive me if any Chipotle sponsors looking at this. Um, it might not be the issue that they fell off. It might be the location that you go to. The location that you go to can make or break your outlook on the business. And now continue into the story because remember I told you what I want to start.
Hold on. As a matter of fact, one just opened up down the road from me. So
Mm.
if anything, it's thriving.
And that's what I said. It's the location. It's the people that's dedicated to. So let me tell you what happened today, man. Because that's what this is for. It's for about like talking about the now. So I'm there, and I'm there with my friend, and we run into another sneaker artist that is, popular here in Baltimore. He does stuff for the NBA and everything. And it's funny because every time I'm in that area, and I moved from the area where I used to stay in Charles Village, but every time I'm in the area, him and I, we always randomly run into each other, right? So I seen him. He was across the street, but then he came inside, and we chopped it up. I talked to him. I introduced him to my friend, and then we had, as we got closer to the line of order, the person was just getting everybody orders in line, and then they said after us, they said, "Okay, we're not accepting any in-person orders, but we're accepting online orders." So by the time we got midway, everybody was just standing there for about at least like I want to say like half an hour, Doug, and we were growing impatient. And I'm thinking that the machine was slow. That wasn't the case. I'm observing this person. This person was at the register, and he was just trying to collect himself. He was just like this, and then I said, "Wait a minute, maybe he might be sleepy." But I kept looking at him. I said, "Oh, nah, maybe,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah." And it was a young man, and he was just like this. And then he gave the food to the lady, and the lady's just waiting there to pay. And I thought she already gave him her card and all that. No, he just was like this. He couldn't get himself together. And there was a gentleman that was in front of me. His food was placed in she kept saying, "I don't need a bag." So he took the bag and tried to place it in the top, inside the other customers. And then he started getting like the orders online, the receipt, the receipt, the tickets to actually, and he started putting the tickets together and started putting them in the person that was in front of me bag. I'm talking about three of them. So then I was like, no, he's not conscious. So then I'm telling this to my friend, and she was like, yo, like, yeah. I said, yo, I went back to AZ mode, and I don't go this way. I said, yo, I'm about to get my food and dip. Like, who got time?
Hmm.
I go, I got to rest up, so I got to take my nap. I got things I need to do. So, yo, I swear to you, yo, my friend was just like on our tip. You know how we say one thing and then we become in sync. When we do it, we don't even ask questions. So I shared with homie. I was like, yo, serious, you know what I mean? Yo. And then he peeped. He's like, oh, wow, he is. Because he's like, yo, he's here all the time. So, make a long story short, my friend went on, like, first she was like, hey, he needs help. And the people that were young, they was like, oh, he's a cash register. Like, they were like encouraging him to do this because that did what? That burned and that killed time. And they didn't want to take on the responsibility. But that's not fair for the customers that are there. So then she had got my cue. She said, "Excuse me," and as he's putting the receipts inside the tickets inside the bag, she said she grabbed the joints and she did like this. Yo, you know how we did? Click. I said, I said yes. Boom, boom. We walked to the side. The lady that was waiting to get it. I mean, she was there for like 15, 20 minutes, and he wouldn't get her car. And I said, and she followed us. She said, you know what? I'll just pay tomorrow because we were there for 30 minutes. I said, yeah, I would have been left. And we just left out. And it was just like, yo, like, who has time for that? Who has time to be standing in a line for 30 minutes and people keep coming in and you guys either want to trip this man up by even getting fired or you just want to be able to kill time because you don't want to do any work. But people got places and people to see and places to go. So that's not fair. So we dipped out and that was that. And I was able to I hardly got any rest today, first of all. You know how my schedule is. So I just was like, bump that. But hey, I ain't been to Chipotle in a while, but got a free got a free bowl, you know what I'm saying? But customer service, dog. Customer service just anywhere. And even when we went to the next spot to get drinks, the people was like, wait a minute, excuse me, hold on for a minute. We had to wait a while. We was like, what is up with this customer service? Like, what's going on? So again, customer service is everything, man. Have you had any customer service experiences that were just out of whack or
Doug, I got a policy, bro. If I gotta wait long enough, I just dip.
mm,
I just dip, dog. The last time I had a real issue was actually, you know what? That's a lie because sometimes I'll go to like Chick-fil-A. Like I don't like going in the evenings because that's when all the kids that get off from school are working. So you just already know, we got a saying: check the merch, right? So soon as we get our order, we pull up, we park, and check our order to make sure it's right. That's checking the merch, right? Make sure the order's right. If the order's wrong, and this has happened a couple times, whether it's a burger spot, Whataburger, or Chick Fil A, and it's always the shift with the kids, right? So we check the merch, the order wrong. I just go in there, no bag. I say, yo, I was just in the drive through. This is what I ordered. Y'all didn't give me this. You got the bag? No, I don't have the bag. This y'all messed up my order. And I just give them that, just give it to them like that. No, I don't have the bag. You messed up my order. Well, okay, so you just want the fries? No, I want my whole order again because you guys messed up. I always say for the inconvenience of me having to come in here, make it again. They make it again, I dip. You know what I mean? Chick-fil-A, same way. Say, hey, I I didn't get my fries. Or, I ordered 3 chicken strips. Yeah, I mean 4 chicken strips. I only got 3 in the box. Okay, well, Chick-fil-A, they don't even ask. They be like, okay, here you go. Boop, boop. You know what I mean? We dip. But the last time I had like a real issue, we was still living in Phoenix. And there was this like Mexican spot called Filiberto's, right? And the deal was if they didn't give you a receipt with your order, then the meal was free, right? We get to the joint, pay for the meal. They give us the change back. And the lady about to drive off, I said, whoa, 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 whoa. I said, we ain't get a receipt. I said, hey, my man, you didn't give us a receipt, so the orders should be free, right? He goes, oh, the machine's down. What that got to do with me? Your policy says if I don't get a receipt, then my order's free. Long story short, we got in this big argument, me and the crew, and Letty just like, "Well, just let's just go. And I'm like, no, no, we supposed to get a free meal. I want my free meal. And she was over it, so I was like, all right, forget it. I let it go. But no, dog. Like for me, for especially in regards to like food, you know, you gotta get in, get out. Good customer service and make it fast,
Mm,
right?
mm,
Because a lot of times, if the line's long enough, and you're in the line long enough, some people just drive off. So those are potential dollars into your business gone.
mm.
And that's how you got to look at it. Like that's why I like Chick-fil-A. Regardless of how long the line is, they get you in, get you out. They organize the lines, get in, get out. You know,
Man,
because they know that the speediness of it all is your bottom line. It affects your bottom line.
exactly.
Because just like what happened with you, so that was 3 potential sales gone.
I mean more because the line was already to the door. But as the great DMX would say,
Ever to get the dough. Get money. He winds up in a weed. And who does he get to work for him? You got it. Wise and like kid. Buns was the best at making a bad situation worse. He would corrupt anyone he could to get over. As long as he knew how to control niggas' minds, he could make shit happen anywhere. Get it. Learn how to put the motherfucking weed in the bags first. Then get money.
I was going to reiterate it, but I just said no.
That's a classic. That's a
Yeah,
classic right
yeah,
there.
that was a poor video link because that was shared just years ago, so the volume wasn't all the way up. So sorry about that. But DMX, that's up, yo. Me and Jazz, since we've known each other, man, we've always like had quotables of just belly, like out the blue, and it's wild because me meeting and having the opportunity to meet DMX, you know what I'm saying? Like it was just it felt like it was so surreal, man, you know what I mean? But shout out to X Man, Earl from Baltimore, you know what I'm saying? But he was heavy on customer service and doing it right. I mean, before you even serve that product, which reminds me of those small gigs that we would actually do out there in Phoenix. Man, we had a host of them, but it mainly started with just being able to just really deliver. But man, what are your thoughts, man, on just like we talked about? We was talking heavy the other night, man, about parenthood and just being able to just uh, be present. And I forgot what I was saying, Doug, but every time we be talking offline, y'all, we be like, yo, Dad, that would be good for the pod. But I think one of the questions, if you can reiterate, and any time that you feel like I'm, not asking, but if you can remember, what I was asking about, you said something that I wrote down, and I was like, yo, and I said I never heard that before because we always say, happy wife, happy life, or
Happy man, happy clan.
happy man, happy clan. If you want to like chime in or share with the people what we were talking about as it relates to that reference, um, yeah, but by all means, man, go on ahead and just take the floor.
Um, whew. I honestly can't remember the full conversation because you asked me a question which led
Yeah.
to that. But I think the question was something along the lines of um like maybe like roles in regards to husband and wife and how because I wake up early um at 5:30 every day to make my wife something to eat for breakfast. Um I pack her lunch for work. And for you guys that don't know, I'm a stay-at-home dad. My wife is a registered nurse. Um, I put her through college, and in return, we had kids, and we didn't want to put them into public school or private school. We wanted to homeschool because the only people that really will take care of your child is you. And we want to instill certain things in them and not have them under the influence of an outside source. So, we decided that I'll stay home and she'll work. So I wake up and make her something to eat, pack her lunch from the dinner I made the night before. And I think you were asking, why do I do that? And I told you because much like what we just talked about, marriage is about customer service. You know, it's about customer service. Your customer being your mate. You know what I mean? And if the customer service is off, um, just like you with Chipotle, if the customer service isn't right, then your customer is going to be out. You know,
Yes,
and
yeah,
you have lost
a
a customer. you know, So, and I was telling you that I used to subscribe to that saying, "Happy wife, happy life," but that implies that no matter what, you got to keep your wife happy. So but what about the man in the household? you
mm,
know so it's more so happy man, happy clan. you know because if of course, if she's happy, if I'm happy, she's happy. If she's happy, we're happy, the kids are happy. It's a trickle down effect. you know
and I
because huh?
and I'm not necessarily married or in a relationship, but I do recall it was years ago that I would look at this series called "Thank God I'm Married" series to kind of like give me prep for when that day does come. Where I do have a family, I do have a partner, and one of the things I can remember the guy said was that you seed what you need, and it was like say for instance, like stop complaining about if your wife or your husband is not doing this, and the third. You start to see what you need. Like he was like, if she basically if the dishes not being washed, he said, okay, I'm going to wash the dishes. I'm going to do all the things I need to do to secure as what we would say, secure the bag, but secure my relationship because I'm going to feel the need that, or I'm gonna feel the lack that is needed. Now, like I said, when we talk on the phone, I'm not in a position that I can talk about this, but I was talking to you, I was talking about, I was telling everybody, like Jazz, like how, I admire, how you might not know, but it's a routine that you follow to make sure that you are being the partner that you need to be, what I mean, for, your wife. So big ups to you on that. And it's I recommend anybody to actually look at this series. Just type in on YouTube, Thank God I'm Married series season, and just go through that playlist. And when you're bored, and definitely, single. It's for single and married. Just to be able to like really look at things from a different perspective, and mainly what you just said of just providing a service, not necessarily allowing people to run over top of you, but just being able to like, okay, let me see what I need because when you don't do that, you'll be that person that still looks back and still, live with somewhat regret because you wish that you could have done your all instead of just, allowing things to continue to pile up or when, things take root and you see those apocalyptic movies where over time, if it's, anything is neglected, it comes, consumed with, weeds and stuff like that. So if you can cut off those weeds prior to it happening in any relationship, then it's important. So, but thank you for sharing that, man. And we went.
Hold on. Let me add one more thing to that.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
You ever heard of mental load?
You said mental.
Load?
No. Mm-mm.
All right. So you ever wonder why, let's say Steve Jobs always wore black shirt, blue jeans, New Balances. Same with Mark Zuckerberg, black shirt, blue jeans, shoe, white shoes. They do that because your brain, you only have a certain number of like uh, thoughts a day, like to decision making thoughts, right? It's a certain number a day that you have a day. So they do that because so they don't have to think about getting dressed.
Mm-mm.
So that saves them brain power to make other decisions.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So I said to say this. The the main thing that I have found in relationships is communication. That's number one. Communication is number one. You have to be 100% transparent at all times. Not saying that I am, but I'm working diligently on becoming that, right? 100% transparent at all times. That means expressing your feelings as you're feeling them. Um, you know, everything. Just being transparent with your mate. Like for me, for a long time, I would say I'm fine on anything. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. But I'm not good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not good. And me saying that I have learned was a coping mechanism. For some of the shit that has happened in my youth. Where I had to say I'm good to get through whatever the situation was. You know what I mean? But really, when I think about it, I'm not good. But I'm kind of using that to like
That's
close up my feelings, right? And move on. So communication and lightening your partner's mental load.
mm,
So the less things they have to think about, the more they can think about other things that may be more important. So, for instance, I can make breakfast. My wife doesn't have to worry. Wake up and worry. "Oh, what am I going to make myself for breakfast? What am I going to make myself for dinner? Um, you know, what bill needs to get paid? You know what I mean? I look at that stuff, because to take the burden off of what she has to do,
Absolutely.
and it's vice versa, so I would say communication, um, uh, lessening your partner's mental load, and really being equally yoked.
Yes, yes, yes. And that goes with equally yoked. That goes with just understanding your partner's needs, whether you're in a relationship or in a marriage. I've been in an experience. I've had experiences where me and the other individual wasn't equally yoked, but I still was trying to give that person the benefit of the doubt. But when you give that person the benefit of the doubt and you continue to see these things that's not going to change, and you giving that person a tip, meaning that things are lacking in time, meaning quality time. Things are lacking in intimacy. Um, whereas in intimacy don't necessarily even have to be physical touch. Intimacy can be just that one-on-one time, even if it's like because I know when from looking at other stories online or just people sharing that when you have a family, intimacy does come at a cost because the intimacy and time now has to go into the children. But you have to make those small pockets. And last but not least, the third
Mm.
is time, intimacy, and partnership. So in many instances where I didn't get the time, intimacy, and partnership, and then individuals are making excuses as to that they can't fill those three, then it's no it's but you it's no need to even continue any of those things because those three things are very very vital that holds the glue to have, and especially with of course bringing God into your life. But without these time, intimacy, partnership, without those three things, and that's a tip. I'm sorry, hold on, give me a second. And that's a tip. Um, things will, like you said, the customer service will you will walk away with whatever you have to get to it to get to your next destination because you feel like you're not being valued, just like you feel like you're in that store. Sorry, Chipotle. You feel like you're at Chipotle, and you feel like you're getting ignored. You feel like you want to, pay. You want to support this relationship or this business, but it's not equally yoked. It's not being shared. It's like okay, now I got to take my business elsewhere. But I am going to play this before we get off topic, just to close that segment. I hope it is on spot on to what I wanted to actually share. If not, then I feel like any information from this actual source is viable. So let me see if when I became a man, that means it was a transformation, that it was a shift, that something that he went from boy to man, meaning that it wasn't about him no more. It wasn't about self. It wasn't about, baby, you ain't giving me enough sex. Baby, you ain't giving me enough attention. Baby, you ain't giving me enough time. It was a shift, and it was no longer what can you do to make me happy, but what can I do to make you happy? So I'm telling all my brothers out there, I'm not minimizing. Does your wife need to take care of you? Yes. But I'm saying you do it first if she not doing it. You lead by example. Are you so that's the small thing, you know what I mean? And when I and that was years ago. I looked at that video in 2011, but it was something that I started to notice when you and I talk at certain times. Like you don't skip a beat. Like you always like, yo, Key, I'm about to do this because I want to make sure that I do my part into making my partner happy, and so that way things can kind of like be met halfway. Because if I don't do this or if I fall short in this, stuff that yeah, I'm sure it's days where y'all get out of whack because travel or y'all might have a family outing, so things kind of like fall on that because nobody that's human. But if you can control what you can control, you make that things happen. But I wanted to commend you on that because that's something that I'm inspired to do, or I'm inspired to do whenever because you're consistent, dog, and persistent when it comes to that. So I wanted to share that with the people that that's important, not only just for relationships, but anything that you do in life, be it relationships, be it a goal or a business, or even how you and I are connected to. We don't know who we're talking to, but we was like, yo, we for some reason we want to share this with the world. And then when we get those small confirmations of Dismal saying, "Hey man, Keo, you got podcasts, y'all got podcasts," and we get those small, for individuals who tune in, and we're going to be looking back at this like, yo, wow, remember when one person said that we should start a podcast, or remember when that one person was viewing, we only had one viewers, and now we have 12 or 10, 12, 30 people, 40 people uh, waking up with us looking for or just playing the video back. And because the messages that we provided have resonated because granted you're not alone, and I want to break that Wizard of Oz barrier that I'm not perfect, I'm not elite. I just we just had it in our spirit that we needed to get these conversations to the world, and then as our when we do have you got Damiano, you got Girly, and when I have a family, when I have children of my own, I want them to look back at this. It's something that Kendrick Lamar had said when he didn't even want to do Mr. Morale. He was discouraged, like, yeah, I don't want to put nothing else out. He wanted that to be here. He wanted. Then he said, you know what? When my kids get older, he said, whether I'm here or not, he said, I want them to go, like be able to dissect and I'm like, yeah, Doug, that's what's up. Can you imagine if you had any of your family members, whether it be a father or uncle, whatever, that they had a journal that you can look into, or if Malcolm X had like tweets that you can like look at, and yeah, they have the book, but that's all the book author is always it's always an autobiography that's written. But years later, you'll hear or you'll see that Tupac had some letters that were discovered that they will have at a museum, but it's not fully access to the people. You got to go to the museum to got to look at the glass to see what he said, because of rightfully so. You don't want these things that are valuable. But like if we can give those things to our family or leave behind those things or just allow the transparency to be there, I feel like it holds power. To your story is powerful.
I wish I could show you this goal list I have, but one of them is to make an email for my children and like either write or send them a video every week to just talk. You know what I mean? I mean, and what you're saying is true because I love this because long after we're gone, our kids, they can look back on these videos and get some insight. You know, they can get some insight and some guidance as into who we are and what we represent. You know what I mean? Because you and I, we haven't always been these people. You know what I mean? I mean, at the core, we were, but it took a lot of growing and self evaluation, self discovery to be the people we are now. Especially like we were just talking about relationships. Dog, I used to be a real a, re- a real dick.
That's
You know,
the baby. You know what I'm saying? Oh man,
because it was just like I didn't really care about people's feelings like that. You know what I mean? Especially like a thing that used to like irk me was seeing somebody cry. That would irk me. I just like like it would just no matter if it was a boy, man, just like ew, man. Why are you crying? You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
But
I touch bases on the article that I sent you, and I know that we don't do that. I know we talk about more of our experiences, but another thing I do want to highlight is how you are. Front and center, you're hands on with making sure that you educate your babies, right? So, and me being, a former educator myself, and every once in a while I do have workshops, but I'm able to teach as well when I have the time to do so. But it was an article that I did see that really in Baltimore, they exposed how, you know, and it's always been like that for decades, that math is not being taught at a proper grade level. And I've been a victim of that, of the Baltimore City schools with not necessarily knowing like division, you know. And in high school, though, I'm embarrassed to say that, of course I've gotten better. I've taught myself, but I didn't have like the high school level of what Baltimore City Public Schools of knowing like the basic math when I got to high school to the point where uh, Miss Polk, pre-calculus teacher. I remember,
oh,
yep, I remember in the article, by the way, before I tell you the story, it talked about how Baltimore. I think I elaborated on that enough, right? That they're not teaching at a grade level. And Miss Polk, I remember.
Actually, it said they're not teaching math at all.
Thank you for clarifying that. I just want before I tell the story, I want to be able to say, you know. And Miss Polk, I remember she knew that I only needed the math test, to complete, or otherwise I wouldn't graduate. And I remember she we basically I basically took over that class because I would bring the camera in, I would show what I shot that day, and she would have because her husband was one of the
He
workers
was at work at the Pentagon.
at Pentagon at 9/11 when that happened.
Mhm.
So anyway, she took a liking to me because she believed in me, and she's like, "Keo, if you know any better," she said this in the middle of the class. If you know any better, you won't go to lunch today. And everybody in the class was like, "Ooh, ooh," and I started to allow that peer pressure to stop me from, not seeing her and going to lunch. But then I stayed back, and I was like, "Well, what's going on, spoke?" She's like, "Yeah, I see that you haven't passed the math." The Maryland functional math test, and I want us to go upstairs in the room to really make sure that you understand and you pass this thing. So we goes upstairs in the room, and it had these computers. It was a small room. You already know what type of room it was, but and I'm there, and she said, we're going to take the easier test because you didn't do good test, and it was a computer joint. And she was standing right where this thing is, over my shoulder, just actually looking at me, answering the questions. And she said, "Whoa, stop." She said, "What's this, that, and the third?" And I said, "I really don't know, Miss Pope. I never was taught this." She said, "But you're a senior in high school. What do you mean you never was taught?" I said, they would just pass me through, And she started crying in that room with me. I felt uncomfortable because I think she was going to cry. And she said, "The system has failed you." And she said, "You know what?" Mm. She said, "Get up." And I started walking out because I thought she just was like fed up. She sat down and she started answering all stuff for me. Now, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to say this. Did that help? No, it didn't help me either. But at this time, I only had 2 weeks to fill this out, a week in it to fill this out. And otherwise, I wouldn't have graduated. Otherwise, I wouldn't even walk across the stage. To the point where I didn't even get my own cap and gown, Jazz. To the point where the guy Charles Oliver, no, you know what I mean? Shout out to Charles. He was in the service. He just so happened to be home to. He's like, "Yo, I was about to go to what's the joint that they go to? I was about to go to the
No, boot camp.
not boot camp, but he had his uniform on, and he just so happened to be at home. And he said, "Yo, I still got my cap and gown, and I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you." I said, and I was wearing.
Oh, he,
What if
he was about to be deployed.
deployed? Yep, yep. He was like, what he said, I was saying to myself, what if the cap and gown is not the same cap and gown from when he graduated? Because he graduated the same year that my sister graduated. Before he went to work, he gave me the cap and gown, and I went because this. I mean, my graduation day, Jazz. I goes to Northern. I recorded myself. I had the camera, recorded myself, and sure enough, like the cap and gown was the same. It was no change, and I did manage to get the tassel, and I remember rehearse because I knew I was going to graduate, and they said you got to sit right here. I sat right there, and because I didn't take senior portraits, I didn't
Me
go.
either. Me either.
So I walks down and I sits down. And the first thing I got when I got the what's the name, I immediately opened it up and I see my name. I was like, "Oh snap!" Because my mother came and everything. But to answer your question, I know it got more strict now. I know that with technology, they can't So I'm a person that experienced that too. But I still have to say that you are not only just you're disciplined. You teach your babies, and they telling people to pull their children out of school because they're not necessarily on the fundamentals. But when the pandemic had hit, you were already like hands on. So can you before we get off here, can you share any words of encouragement, or can you share if you have anything to relate that you
Man,
want?
bro, what you just said is the reason why I'm so like gung ho on homeschooling. Because when I went to, I went to Mildred D. Monroe Elementary School in Baltimore City, right? Then, you know, my dad died, and I moved with my mom out in the county. Now, out in the county, I was behind. I was behind in regards to math. Reading, I was good, but math, I was behind, bro. And so, I'm, learning, staying after school, doing the work. My teacher, her name was Miss Benedict, and that school was Emerson Heights Elementary School. So boom, so was doing the work there. Finally got a grasp of it, and was back on track. Middle school, I went to a school called Southwest Academy, formerly known as Johnny Cake Middle School in Woodlawn, right? And say everything's good to go. Ninth grade, I go to Woodlawn High School. That is also in the county, right? Um, like I said, everything I'm being challenged intellectually. This is my ninth grade year. I never forget just feeling like all my teachers just were challenging me. Like I was literally like learning. You know what I mean? And thriving in it. You know what I mean? And being challenged to uh, use my critical thinking, right? Then my mom moved back to the city. So ninth grade year, middle of the school year, I go to Northern High School. Right now, the funny thing is, I actually got accepted into Mervo, which is uh, like a college prep school,
Yeah.
right? For those that don't know, I know you know. But it was too far, and I didn't want to catch all those buses to get to school, versus one bus and then take me to Northern. So
Mhm.
I said, all right, let me go to Northern. Go to Northern, and I remember, dog, with my first math class, the stuff that they were teaching in ninth grade was stuff I had learned in fifth grade. You see what I'm saying?
Mm.
In fifth grade, they were teaching stuff in ninth grade. That in the city, they're being taught stuff in ninth grade that in the county they're teaching them in the fifth grade. You see what I'm saying? So just imagine I come to class and I'm like, yo, what is this? So of course I'm banging out the work, but once the work is done, what am I going to do? Of course I'm gonna cut up. Of course I'm gonna cut up.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
work is done, so you can't say I'm not doing my work. Work is done. Not only is the work is done, work is good.
Work is good. Work
You
is
know,
good.
to the point I remember 11th grade year, because I wasn't challenging myself as well. So I'm just doing the work. You know what I mean? And not like, all right, let me learn more.
Yeah.
Let me
Yeah.
learn more. Of course, I passed and all that stuff. But then when I go back to college, some of the math, I'm like, damn, I don't remember doing any of this.
You know
You know?
what?
Mm.
We had my joint at 10%. I don't want to cut off this live, but I do want to say this in ending because I know what the title is going to be. The title of this podcast is going to be "What's Today's Mathematics?" You know what I mean? And and Jazz, he would put me hit with today's mathematics all the time to the point where I sometimes like search it. But today's mathematics is 2 to 10. You know what I mean? 2023. So
So
with
10. Sorry, so knowledge cipher,
all
all
being
being born to knowledge.
yep, yep. so So yes, that's going to be the title of this. I feel like it can relate to it's simple math, even with the relationships. How we talked about how
Oh,
you know,
that's the title. It's simple math.
okay, it's simple
Simple
math.
math. It's simple math. But hold on, just have to say this.
Okay.
For anybody that uh, really cares about your child, and you Wanna, you know, it's dog. It is hard. It is hard, bro, because it's so easy to just pawn your kid off to a teacher, say you teach them. But dog, they're not gonna. They, of course, they're gonna learn. You know,
Yeah,
but nowadays it's just about passing these tests. They're not actually learning though.
and
They're
that's
not
how I
learning.
wasn't learning either. I was like, yo, I'm not learning nothing.
Yeah, they're learning the specific thing for the test and passing the test because that's all they care about. But dog, who's gonna like, who's gonna teach them about finance? You know how to balance a check, how debt works.
Mm,
You know, when I came out of high school, I had to learn that on my own.
all
I had to
that.
learn that on my own. You know, who's going to teach me about that? Who's going to really talk about the real Black history, not
Mm,
just Martin Luther King and Malcolm X? Who's going to teach them about Marcus Garvey? Who's going to
thank
teach them about Frida Kahlo? You know, who's going to teach them this stuff? You have to teach them that. You're their parent. It's on you. How you raise up a child and the way that I forget the scripture, but it's something like that. Train a child up in the way he should go, and he'll never like falter too far off the line, right? So you train up your child. It is your responsibility to make them better than you were,
yes,
and
yes.
make them a positive person, influencer in this world.
I think that's the nugget of the day. I think that. But thank you, Jazz, for connecting. I just don't want this live to erase because
Yeah,
we'll be back, y'all. We'll be back with episode. This is episode 30. Jazz, man, yo, you was on fire today, and I really appreciate your input on all that. And we could have chimed in a little bit more, but for the sake of my battery life and us not losing this loud, we're gonna close it out on that. My closing remarks is just kind of like simple math. It's simple math. That's all I'm gonna leave it at that. I can't match what you just said, but it's just simple math, y'all. And again, I do got that giveaway. So that's in the previous videos. Chime in on that. Or go on by AkioEvans.com. We're gonna have much more for y'all to come. But it's Jazz and Keyz. It's Jazz and Keyz, man.
that's the keys, man. Peace, peace. Love you, man.
You too. Love you too.